So what's meant when somebody talks about a zero of a polynomial? A zero of a polynomial can actually mean many different things. So the first thing is that if x equals a is a zero of the polynomial f of x, that means that x minus a is a factor of f of x. So when you factor a polynomial and you get all these different factors, those essentially give you your zeros. Next, if f of a equals 0, a is a zero of f of x. That seems pretty self-explanatory. And lastly, if the graph of f of x touches or crosses the x-axis at x equals a, that means that f of x has a 0 at x equals a. So just to refresh your mind of what that might look like, there's a polynomial that's crossing the x-axis at x equals a, so we would have a 0 there. And there's a polynomial that touches the x-axis at x equals a. All right, so if you have any one of these things, that means that you can use them interchangeably. For example, if you're looking at a graph and you have it touching or crossing the x-axis at a point A, that means that x minus a is a factor of f of x. If you plug a into f of x and you get 0, that means that x minus a is a factor and that your graph crosses at x equals a. So depending on what problem you're asked, each one of these three things can be quite useful. Take, for example, this polynomial that's already been factored. We have f of x equals x minus 6 times x plus 2 times x minus 5. So remember, if x minus a is a factor, then x equals a is a 0. Notice we go from minus to plus here. So when we plug in a, that'll be a 0. All right, x minus 6 is a factor, which means that x equals 6 is a 0. And then for x plus 2, think of this as x minus negative 2. It seems a little backwards, but it'll help you get in the right mindset. That means that x equals negative 2 is a 0. Lastly, if x minus 5 is a factor, that means 5 is a 0. So these would be considered the zeros of the polynomial.